He left here in a yacht flying a red, white, and blue flag. Wow, there aren't several nations that have red, white, and blue flags.
Yeah, that doesn't narrow it down a lot. Hello and welcome to Retro Game Connect. I'm Dan Mastriani.
And I'm incredibly tired.
What else is new? But in today's episode, listen up, gumshoes, because we're playing your favorite world-traveling detective game, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, for Commodore 64. Yes, I picked this version because supposedly Cloanto has assured me they have the rights to distribute it along with their C64 Forever package. And because it's seems to be a direct port of the original Apple II version that I grew up playing. So,
oh, neat.
I thought that was neat. Yeah. So, I mean, do people need to be told what where in the world is Commodore 64? Where in the world is
where in the world is Commodore 64? Where in the world is Commodore 64, Dan?
Not here, because we're using an emulator.
Oi, oi.
Like, you're the only one that's tired. Come on. I think
casually sips my second Red Bull of the day.
I think we've established that neither of us get any sleep ever. But for, I don't know, people may not know. I don't know whether it's still in schools or not, but you play a detective, you have to follow criminals around the world using clues based on geography and, international trivia.
I used to play Where in the World in this Carmen Sandiego game on the computers at school.
Yes, it was for quite a while. It was quite popular in schools. But, we can discuss it as we're playing it. So why don't we do that?
Do the thing play.
Yes. So yeah, the game is loaded up. Yeah, so this makes me kind of, I don't know why this is a cracked copy. It kind of worries me, but whatever. And sure, we're just be RGC because we're Retro Game Connect.
We gotta come up with a 3-name full name for Retro Game Connect so we can always have a name instead of just RGC.
Yes, I mean it's just fast and easy,
I know.
All right, we're rookies. Shucks. So let's go ahead and start the case. So yeah, this is pretty much what I remember the Apple II version being like. Though probably less. I don't know if we want to go to Brazil right now. They're having a bad time.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so hey, we're recovering a rare stuffed parrot. That should be fun. So we know it's a male suspect. Okay. Keep that in mind, Ian.
Okay.
So one of the things we have to remember to do is we do have to get an arrest warrant.
Yes. You can't just shout J'accuse.
No, we cannot do that.
But there's no FMV.
Yeah, so the game will tell us stuff about the suspect, and we have to enter. I think at least on rookie we need at least 3 things to get a warrant. So I want to save that until the last minute because it does take time to visit Interpol to get that warrant. We don't want to waste it. So yes, so the fun thing about this is they didn't actually intend it as an educational game per se. They just thought it was interesting, and it ended up being picked up by educators.
Sort of like how Portal and Minecraft have been picked up to teach about physics and building.
Yes. All right, so I think first thing we got to do is investigate. We're on Rookie, so we got plenty of time, so we can afford to be thorough. Where would you like to check out first? I think the museum, because that's probably where they stole the stuffed parrot from.
Indeed. Don't worry, I'm still right here. I just gotta grab something real quick.
Okay, so he went to study Aztec ruins. I'm pretty sure that's telling us to go to Mexico. But we'll do some other investigations. Maybe we'll learn something.
I'll keep that in mind, though. Aztec Ruins.
All right. Wow, the same clue.
Wow.
Okay, so this is clearly a waste. So since you can't actually go back from depart by plane, I'm just going to show off sea connections. That shows us every place we can go.
Buenos Aires, Lima, Mexico City.
So I'm pretty sure we want to go to Mexico City.
Well, yeah. Seeing that's the only one that's part of Mexico.
This would have been pretty obvious, but I'm just, this is a useful thing because in this version of the game, it isn't actually possible to back up once you go to the depart by plane menu.
Ah.
So it's important to remember to do that. So we're going to go ahead and head to Mexico.
Mexico. Baby's hungry and the money's all gone.
Oh, yeah, might tell us about. Okay, so just special facts about Mexico.
That's right, we're getting James Taylor references up in this. While I wear an Orphan Black shirt, we are just completely tangential.
I sure don't know how to pronounce the name of that map.
Let me see about.
Popocatépetl? Peptal?
Popocatépetl.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's see. Let's investigate while we're here. Let's go to the marketplace. Maybe you tried to sell the parrot.
Uh-oh. Doodly-doo-doo-doo.
I must be on the right track. Vile. These latest fashions, and he talked about great mountains. Interesting.
I think, Huh.
I don't know. Let's see if we can get another clue.
Well, of all of those, the only one I could think of would be, we already came from Rio de Janeiro, didn't we?
Yeah, we came from Rio.
Because it did specifically talk about a mountain in Brazil, but also I'm pretty sure the Andes go through Peru.
Yeah, so might be Lima. I mean, is Lima big on fashion? I don't know.
That I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Let's keep investigating the area.
Yeah. Let's
go to the hotel. You had to stay somewhere.
Sure. I mean, I think this stuff is like pretty random, but Grant's tomb. Oh, he had black hair. Make a note of that. Make a note of that.
Yep.
We will need that one.
So far, for our suspect, they're a male with black hair who talked about mountains, but also the Aztecs.
Yeah. Well, that's not. That's just telling us where to go. But, this is interesting. So, Grant's tomb. That makes me think New York. Because he certainly isn't.
Is that where that is?
He certainly isn't buried in Lima.
I don't know who Grant is.
Ulysses S. Grant?
Okay. It just said Grant, so...
I mean, I assume that's who they mean. That's, like, who's buried in Grant's tomb?
Someone named Grant.
Yeah.
Let's check out the library before we go.
Okay.
They might have been They might have been researching something.
Check out the books about skyscrapers. So it's definitely New York.
Time to go to New York City.
Yep. The town's so nice they named it twice.
Take me down to New York City where the streets smell like pee and everything's real gritty. Oh, I just want to go home.
All right.
I'm not a big fan of big cities. Oh, wow. Jeez. Yep, this was made in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Hello, Twin Towers.
Though I did want to mention, like all these dots would kind of blend together on like a CRT at the time. So this was kind of a technique. They're kind of dithering, so you get some
Especially
additional
since I do
colors.
not think that that particular photo would have been possible.
Mm. No, I'm just talking about the art technique. Like especially on the Apple II, which this was designed for, that made a lot of use of what's known as artifact color, which is basically
Yeah,
colors that are created by the blending of two like nearby points on a CRT screen.
yeah.
So it's kind of even on the Commodore 64, just because that's the art was originally done on. You still see that because the art was originally done for Apple II, even though the Commodore 64 was actually designed to not do that, to have less blending and more like discrete colors.
Neat. Well, let's investigate.
Let's go. Yeah, so of course, we if we don't know stuff, we can just look it up on
Ooh,
the internet. But
harbor.
when the game was originally released, it actually came with an almanac.
Ooh, neat.
Yeah.
Hey, a vile person. He left here in a yacht flying a red, white, and blue flag. Wow, there aren't several nations that have red, white, and blue flags.
Yeah, that doesn't narrow it down a lot. Let's get a little more information. Let's see. Well, let's go to the sport club. Yachting is a sport. If you have enough money, anyway.
Punt up the temp. Oh, so it's a
Well,
British flag.
yeah. So that solves
Is
that.
that's unless one of the connections is Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely London.
Yep. Let's investigate the other place real quick since we're here.
All right. Well, we want to be careful not investigating too much because then we could run out of time.
True.
It's pretty generous on rookie level, but
My sources tell me he wanted to hear Big Ben. He had black hair. All right, let's go to London.
yep.
Fun fact, the reference to Connecticut with the Thames, there's actually a river here called the Thames River.
Aha. Yeah,
All
we went
right.
ahead and changed it. Just like we have Berlin instead of Berlin. Though that was changed during World War II for what are probably obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, but that's a very basic difference in pronunciation versus Thames and Thames.
Yeah. Yeah, we pronounce it how people think it's supposed to be pronounced when they see it
Yeah.
written.
Let's investigate. What do we got for places to look?
Let's see. Uh, go ahead.
Banks are always suspicious.
Why not? I think it's pretty random anyway, so. Uh-oh.
Haha.
Nice. Another little criminal.
My sources tell me he changed the money to kroner.
I think that's Denmark?
What do we have for connections?
What?
Pretty sure that's Reykjavik.
Mm.
Or like, where's Oslo?
Oslo's in. Is that Sweden? I'm feeling super dumb right now. I think so. No, Norway.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? It's Norway. That was wrong with me.
I'm just gonna look it up.
It's Norway. I'm pretty sure. While you're looking it up,
I'm looking up the kroners.
Yeah, I think a couple different places probably use kroners.
Because I've heard it before, but I can't. Oh, Norway.
Okay, so
Norway uses the krone.
there we go. We'll see if we can get a little more information. He's carrying a helmet too.
And Denmark.
Yeah, okay, so I was right. It's just they happen to both use it.
And Oslo is the capital of Norway.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the sport club. I don't know if this is going to be important, but remember that he was carrying a helmet. That might say something about his hobbies or something.
Onto the sail to Barents Sea.
All right, it's getting kind of repetitive, so I think we should delete before we use any more time.
Yep.
So let's head to Oslo. Fortunately, it's not too far from London.
That's located up the northern coasts of Norway and Russia.
Pining for the fjords.
Investigate.
Oh, that's funny. We're searching for a parrot. Oh, I just realized that. We haven't gone to a palace yet.
The Palace.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh, hello there.
Uh-oh. Oh, this is
All
trouble.
I know is something suspicious is going on in town.
He's here, so we got to see if we have enough to get a warrant. Let's visit Interpol.
Do we want to investigate just to skosh more?
But if we find him before we get the warrant, we blow the case.
So we can't, like, find him, get the warrant, and come back. Oh, that's
no. Yeah.
Well, I guess we get a better warrant? What? Better get a warrant.
Yep. All right. So, okay, how am I doing this? Am I hitting the space bar? There you go. Mail. We know that his hair is black.
What do they cycle through for hobbies?
And we're going to have to check that out. Tennis, music, mountain climber.
Mountain climbing.
Kept talking about mountains.
Talking about mountains. Feature?
Limps, ring, tattoo, scar, jewelry. No, none of
Didn't
those.
talk about one.
Convertible, limousine, race car. He is carrying a helmet, so I bet he drove a race car.
Just go through all of them just to be sure. Motorcycle.
It might have been motorcycle too. You're right.
Motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, maybe we better leave that blank because it could have been neither.
I think it would be motorcycle.
I mean,
cycle through more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one.
I think it would be motorcycle.
I think 3 is enough, so I'm gonna want to go with the stuff that we're sure about. You know what I mean?
He's gonna have a motorcycle.
Maybe, but I'm gonna compute this and see if it gets us a warrant. All right, we got a warrant for Nick Brunch. Let's see if we can find him. Yeah, apparently most of these criminals are actually
in town, so either the library or the hotel.
Yeah, most of the criminals were actually based on staff members.
Oh, fun! Oh,
yeah. See, now we were chasing him. So if we didn't have a warrant, they would have had to let him go after catching him.
Ah.
But since we did, we have arrested Nick Brunch.
We solved crime.
Yay!
I've been refraining from making cop jokes this entire time, just FYI.
Wonderful. Okay. He had to loot a rare stuffed bear. Fantastic.
This is a dead parrot.
Yes, as soon as I realized that he was bringing the dead parrot to the fjords, I was like, yes.
Some Monty Python's fans made this.
You say that, but I'm pretty sure it's randomized. So this was just an hilarious coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah. So there we go. We successfully solved our first case, and we've been promoted to sleuth. Isn't that nice? So there we go. Yeah, we're right there at the bottom of the Acme detective roster. I didn't actually know this. So the Acme joke is actually a company that makes everything.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've seen that, all the time, but I've never actually had the anything actually like explain the acronym until I happened to be researching this game. So that was pretty fun.
Neat.
So there we go. Well, there you are. We cracked the case.
Did the sleuthing.
Yep. I'm guessing that was a bit different from the version you played when you were growing up.
Oh yeah, the version I played, like, there were animated people walking around, and like it was partially more based on the TV show, so there was like the commissioner or whatever her title was would like talk to you.
So are we talking like the game show or the cartoon?
I guess the game show, because it was a live action.
Action. Okay, it was, and the commissioner was like a black woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So
she'd
that would
be like, all right, gumshoes.
Yeah, that would be that's the game show. I watched that growing up. It was a lot of fun, And of course, it's where the famous theme music comes from, the rockapella song, "The Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego."
Mm.
So that comes from that show, which I guess was off the air before you were old enough to like watch and remember it.
I think I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. So there was also like there's a later version like that's basically still this basic game, but was on CD-ROM, so it has nicer pictures
Mm.
and things like that. But I uh, I decided to go for this one because I was like, I thought about like because that version got ported to TurboGrafx 16,
Yep.
so that's actually pretty. The Japanese copies of that are actually pretty cheap, and they do have the English.
Mm-hmm.
But with shipping where it is right now, I did not want to buy that, and I was like, you know
Yeah.
what, I don't want to wait. Let's go ahead and play Carmen Sandiego now.
I am surprised my PC showed up when it did,
Yeah,
like with the way shipping is.
yeah. I've ordered a few things from Japan during the pandemic, and I had to get the expensive express shipping to make sure it actually got to me.
Although, funny enough, the new webcam I ordered got delivered to the wrong house.
Yeah, that's fun. But
The keyboard I ordered at the same time, however, showed up, but one shipped through Amazon, one shipped through UPS.
yeah, so
UPS knew where my house was, Amazon didn't.
yeah, like well, I ordered some stuff like I had it sent C-mail, which wasn't even that much cheaper, and they lost it. So yeah, yeah. So I decided like especially like so yeah. So like $6 for the game, but the shipping is $30.
Rip.
Yeah, so like that's not something I wanted to do unless I could also buy a bunch of other things to make it worthwhile. So like the shipping isn't like $3 and $6 item is $30 on like like $40 worth of items, and
Yeah.
it's not so crazy. But I just
But
it's like
anywho,
like hey, we haven't told people yet, but you've got a new computer coming.
well, coming, it's here.
Yes, yes.
However,
In the
it did
coming
not get in.
weeks.
Yes, it did not get here in time to do this particular shoot with it, but in the coming weeks I will be upgrading my system, and hopefully
Yes.
that will expand our
Yeah.
ability to play different games.
Yeah, but since we still need some, I thought what, let's just hit Carmen Sandiego now. And also, another reason that I wanted to play this particular version is just it's the one. It's so close to the Apple II version that I'm nostalgic about because it's what I played growing up.
Yeah.
Like even down to some of the graphics kind of being done the same way, relying on that like color blending that happens on the CRT.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the Commodore 64 is actually designed to do less of that. But they weren't going to completely redraw the game for the Commodore 64 port, especially when most schools had Apple IIs, and this would mostly be for the home market, I would think.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty interesting game. It's been popular for so long. You can still get Carmen Sandiego games.
Didn't they just do a new series on Netflix?
It's a new series. It's still around. It's interesting how like they were just thinking of it as a game, but all these like educators picked it up and were like, "No, we're going to use this in our classrooms. This is great."
Yeah.
I mean, it did come bundled with an almanac. Like I actually, I used to own my original NES collection from when I was a kid. I had Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego for NES because like this was ported to a bunch. Where in the World was ported to a bunch of things, but not NES for some reason. It was on Master System, but not NES. Don't ask me why that is. But that came with an encyclopedia that I still have.
Neat.
Yeah, it's like a little pocket encyclopedia. So I still have that. So that was neat. Back before the internet, people actually had to look things up in books, and it gave kids an excuse to do that, which is cool.
I do love a good educational game that's also fun.
Yeah, it's actually a good game. But it's interesting because like the idea of this was they were actually, you know, at least two of the people that worked on the game had played Colossal Cave Adventure on like mainframe computers back in the 70s, which is of course like Colossal Cave Adventure eventually like people kind of, you know, made changes and hacked on it back in, you know, the free programming days of the 70s. And it's what eventually kind of, it also like eventually was reworked and was the basis for Zork, which is Infocom's first game, their first big text adventure. So, of course, it's a very influential game because, you know, all these people were inspired by it. And I had no idea where in the world Carmen Sandiego was inspired by it. But the idea was it, you know, like originally, like the main programmer of the game had it played the game a lot, and he was thinking like, man, this game is cool, but I don't like how I have to figure out exactly what the programmer wanted me to type.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be so much better if you like had a menu where you could just select predefined options? And he's thinking like, okay, you know, I now have like, you know, this game was on text-based mainframes, but now we're working on Apple IIs that have graphics, so I can easily create this menu that people can select from. And that was his basis for the game design. So, you know, he started working with that. He came up with the cops and robbers thing while talking with like their design department. They actually their art department. Actually, one of the artists that worked on the game was a former Disney animator. Like back in the 50s, he'd worked on stuff like Sleeping Beauty and Lady and the Tramp.
Wow.
So that's pretty crazy. And the art department kind of helped them refine the idea, and eventually they like hired somebody to kind of like write the story for the game. And it happened that the guy they hired to write the game had also played Colossal Cave Adventure and been thinking like, you know, Colossal Cave Adventure was cool, but it would be even cooler if this was like real places with real facts, because he was the guy that traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And apparently also within the game, like one of the other employees that this was from Ruderbund, who was a really big publisher in the 80s. Not just in educational software, but games too. You know, we've actually played games from them before. They published in the U.S. They published The Guardian Legend, which we played years ago. But when the other employees also, I guess when he was young, his family had moved to Germany for a year, and they traveled all over Europe while they were there. So
fun.
He kind of suggested like, hey, you know, we could give clues about these about places, about, you know, like facts and about these other countries, and people can use that to figure out what country the criminals are going to, and that dovetailed with, you know, the real world adventure game idea that the writer of the game had, and, you know, it evolved into Carmen Sandiego, and they were just thinking this would be a fun game.
And then it turned out to be educational.
Yeah. So it was a happy accident, and that's actually what made the game so successful.
Well, I imagine. Suddenly schools wanted to pick it up as an educational tool.
Exactly. So like apparently toward the end of development, like the main programmer was like, oh, this game isn't going to sell. I don't want to keep working on this. But like there was no one else to do it, so he had to stick around and finish the game. And he leaves and like, oh, this is going to tank. I'm so upset that I had to spend all the time working on this. And he like had some other opportunity, so he like worked on that for like 6 months or something. Comes back to Bruderbund and they're like, oh hey, glad you're back. Here's a royalty check. It's like, what? Because, you know, when they started like just trying to sell in the home market, it wasn't really picking up steam, and it was the educational market that really drove that adoption of the game, because like suddenly all these school districts like, we need 10 copies of this game for our Apple IIs in our computer lab so we can have all the kids playing it.
Yep.
And then of course, you know, and I'm sure, you know, once all the kids were playing at school, they wanted to play at home. So then they started
So
selling
then they
copies at
buy, yeah.
home, and they're like, well, let's port it to computers that people have at home, like the Commodore 64,
Smart decisions.
and it's this huge phenomenon that's still around.
Yeah. It kind of goes through like I feel like Carmen Sandiego is a franchise sort of like Scooby Doo, where every so many years it just gets rebooted with the same
Yeah,
kind of format, but it's constantly being rebooted for the next young generation.
yeah, it's like just like when we played the Scooby Doo game, we talked about how like this is something that both of us can remember from our childhood, despite our childhoods being so far apart.
Exactly.
Like there's all
It
this stuff that like I mean I'll be talking about something I remember from when I'm a kid, and you'd be there like
yeah, and it's almost funny enough because we have the TARDISes
yeah,
as our backgrounds. It's sort of like, I mean, Doctor Who is the same kind of thing, but
yeah,
it's one of the only shows that manages to do that in live action because of the regeneration thing.
yeah,
Meanwhile, cartoons can just be constantly redrawn.
yeah. So like this is something where I can be like, oh, Carmen Sandiego, and you're like, oh, Carmen Sandiego,
Yeah.
and it's something we both played as kids. Just
Yep.
like with like even with Doctor Who is like, well, I grew up watching reruns of the classic show on PBS.
Yep. Meanwhile, I started watching, I watched like a couple episodes at 10, and then I started kind of with 11 at the same time I was using Netflix to start at 9.
Yeah, see, like I actually watched 9 on when they were showing it on the Sci-Fi Channel. I remember seeing an
Ah.
ad. There's an ad, and it was like, what is this? Is that the TARDIS? Is there a new Doctor Who show? And like, Doctor Who is back! I was so excited. Like, 'cause I loved the show growing up, and like I even watched like the Fox TV movie, like new Doctor Who, and that didn't lead to anything. I was like, ah. But then like I had no idea they were reviving the show until I saw ads for it on the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm
Yep.
like, I was so
But it's
happy.
this but it's the same kind of thing like Carmen Sandiego and Scooby Doo, where it's constantly still going, so
Yeah,
anybody who watches it, whether they watched it a decade ago or watched it now, has memories of it.
yeah. We talk about like I watched the game show, but you probably maybe watched the cartoon from like the
The cartoon
2000s.
was kind of on. I don't think I ever really watched it. I mostly just played that game at school.
Yeah, but they use that for I think for newer games that kind of played a little differently.
I want to say the game was like a little mixture of the game show and the cartoon,
Yeah, like
but
I mean I know they made games based on the cartoon. They actually just made like a 3D action game like based on the cartoon. Is like, do you guys even understand the point of Carmen Sandiego? What are you doing right now?
anyway,
Yeah, it's so interesting. Also, like Carmen Sandiego, like being such a breakout character. Like originally, that wasn't even the start. She was just one name that they threw together when trying to think of like criminals for you to catch.
the people of ladies in a trench coat and a hat.
Yeah, and then they were just like it was just a name, and like like when the higher ups of the company was just looking through this list of names, being like, and just like the guy had just been trying to think of like um a name that stood out to the guy that was writing the game, and he thought of like so I think of Carmen Miranda, but also like one of his former roommates had a Saint Bernard that they named Carmen. So the name Carmen is like Carmen something Hispanic, Carmen Sandiego, and it's just like this cool name, and they picked
Oh yeah,
the
it's a
higher up
solid
picked out the name
game.
and like this is a great game. This should be our main character. And then they kind of like developed a whole character based around this name. And that's another thing that helped games stand out. So it's just, all the stuff came together and it just been really enduring franchise that
Yeah.
you still get today. I think like there's a like an early 2000s version that's not quite like this, but it's more of a traditional like point and click adventure. But you can get it on Steam, so you can like still buy that. I mean, supposedly this is being legally redistributed by Cloanto and their Commodore 64 Forever package, so you can download that for free and play this version of Carmen Sandiego. Like if you have a way to play TurboGrafx games, the Japanese version has English, and it's like 600 yen game, which is around $6. So I even have like a Windows, I want to say it's a Windows 95 version of Carmen Sandiego that I unfortunately couldn't get to run. But like if you can find like a DOS version on CD, you can probably get that running pretty easily.
Sadly, there's no Carmen Sandiego games on the Nintendo eShop.
No, nothing right now. I mean,
Figured I'd just double check while I literally have this like right next to me.
It's still like an active property though, so maybe they'll put out some new things. I mean, there's like board games and such you can get. Like you can go to CarmenSandiego.com and see all the stuff they have. They have like lesson plans and stuff for people to actually use it in schools. So it's not going away. I mean, some of the games can be a little dated because obviously things have changed since they were made. Turns out certain buildings that we saw while playing the game are no longer there. So that was awkward. And of course, some of the facts don't match up anymore. They may send you to countries that no longer exist.
That could be awkward.
Yeah, but like speaking of looking things up in books, the only atlas I have, it is the one I had growing up, was so old it still listed some countries as colonies. I'm like, wow. Because I'd be looking at this and like, this is wrong. This atlas is not useful for me in doing my homework.
Oh, there is, it might be a freemium game, I don't know, but there is a Carmen Sandiego game on phones.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but look into that if you're interested.
I just hopped on the Google store, the Play Store, and typed in Carmen. And there's Carmen Stories mystery solving game.
Neat. Is it actually Carmen Sandiego, or is it someone trying to?
That is a good question. It just says Carmen. Yeah, it's not.
It just says
Carmen.
Carmen.
It's just Carmen.
But
it comes up when you search Carmen Sandiego.
Probably that was probably the idea.
Yep.
Well, anyhow, this is there are lots of ways to play the game, so I think it's still worth checking out. It's neat. I kind of wish I still had the Wear in Time on NES, but oh well. If I did, we probably would have played a Carmen Sandiego game way before this, but I'm glad we finally did. Indeed. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this,
a long outro.
Yes, I mean there was like, well, we actually had stuff to talk about for once.
Well, so. Yes.
Anyhow, if you enjoyed this, searching the globe for a parrot hiding for the fjords, make sure you give this episode a like. If you want to catch future episodes and maybe we run into a live parrot, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I've been Dan Mastriani. You can catch me on Twitter at NewTypeCola.
I'm Ian Butterfield. You can find me on Twitter at ENG Butterfield. You can find the show at Retro Game CNCT, Facebook.com/Retro Game Connect, and RetroGameConnect.tumblr.com. Let us know what you thought of the games we played. Let us know if there are any games you'd like us to play. And get our hands on them. We might just play them, or we might just hide them in a fjord.
But most importantly, make sure you join us next time on Retro Game Connect.